Welcome to the video edition of Arts and Times, the Tri-County Arts Calendar. Each quarter, we highlight regional artists who work and exhibit in our area, as well as some of our must-see cultural and natural attractions. Salisbury native Lois Engberg has found a way to bring together several things she loves: painting, antiques, and gardening. She creates classic oils with elements of each of these things.
Well, I started really as a child. My mom was an artist, painter, is an artist, and I grew up with it. And I've always loved painting, drawing. So when I went to college, I studied art a bit, and then my children came along, and a business came along, and it kind of went on the back burner. And now, for the past 10 years, I've devoted full time. I've been back to my first love and devoted full time to painting. I guess I was a gardener before I was a painter. And I've always loved gardening and flowers and all the beautiful colors and the endless source of inspiration. It's constantly changing. So I guess gardening came first, and then I combined my gardening with my love of antiques and collectibles, and that just what's always motivated me to paint. I always get a lot of inspiration there.
Lois has been greatly influenced by masters such as Henri Fantin-Latour. Dramatic light and shadow capture the delicate beauty of her flowers and other charming treasures.
I have always admired the Dutch masters and the great floral painters. Rembrandt's use of light, I think, is just amazing. I just love to see light bouncing off one object to the next, and you really are painting light as much as you're painting anything. I don't think about objects. So lighting is really what you're painting, the light in a subject. I try to think in abstract terms and try not to think about the objects that I'm actually painting, more about the light that's passing over those objects that makes it beautiful.
Lois often collaborates with her mother, well-known artist Barbara Beecham.
My mom and I often take workshops together. We've traveled all over the country taking workshops with artists that we really admire, and recently we decided we have a lot of fun doing that. Maybe we could offer a little workshop and teach others, what we've learned. So we've started just this summer doing classes, and she has a nice little studio space at her home that allows us to have a number of people. It's converted a piece of property, a building on her property that will allow us to have probably 10 or 15 students. So it's going well. Our students are loving it, and we're having fun, so spread the word.
Lois's fascinating paintings evoke a sense of both mystery and realism.
In painting a setup, when I'm putting a still life together, it's not necessarily the particular object. Sometimes it's a combination of colors that, oh wow, I'll find a great object in a antique shop, and I think, boy, that would look beautiful with a bouquet of lilacs in it. Or then the wheels start turning. What would look great with this particular piece. And sometimes it may be a year or two before everything comes together in a composition, but sometimes it's a color combination, sometimes it's textures. I love the old feeling of a rug, or the satin piece of linens, or whatever I can find. It's just a combination of textures and colors, and just something. Variety makes a painting interesting, so I like to get a lot of variety in my setups. So something shiny, something dull, something colorful. I like the feeling of old as well. There's something about an old object that maybe will bring back a memory or something that I love to stick in a painting. I like the feeling of mystery in a painting, some things emerging from the darkness. In paintings that I have a very dark background in, often I'll have things tucked away in the shadows and have the light kind of spilling across, and your focal area being the brightest spot, in the front in the light. So I like that, creating a little mystery in the painting. So I can't wait to get started on something. Like if I see a flower blooming in the garden or I find a great piece in an antique shop, I can't wait to get started on it. I have a lot of great starts. Finishes are kind of hard sometimes, but I try to finish the piece, but the process is not that important. Getting a finished product, it's great if they turn out, but I have a whole closet full of great starts that never quite make it to finish. But it's fun to get started when you find a beautiful flower or a great antique that you just can't wait to paint. It's alla prima style. It's very direct painting. I don't do much in the way of glazing. Sometimes maybe in the very end I'll do some last minute touches. But for the most part I work pretty directly and I work pretty quickly. With flowers you don't have a lot of time to wait. So I will try to capture the flowers as quickly as I can. And I think the freshness is there, the delicacy I try to capture. And working quickly helps me do that, I think. Well, yesterday I paid a visit to my sister and she had a beautiful bush of hydrangea blooms, and I clipped a big bucket full and came home, and then just the wheel started turning. I love the blues and the greens, so this is really a painting about the color harmonies, the blues. I have lots of different blues and touches of green, so the concept with that painting is really more about the color. I'm not so much a landscape painter, so I don't know that it matters where I am, whether it's the Eastern Shore. I love the seasons, the having, every season of bloom. I mean, there's the roses to look forward to in the spring and the lilacs. I can't wait to paint daffodils when they come. It's like, at last, spring is here and I have flowers to paint. I do dabble in landscape a little bit in the winter. I've done a few plein air events, but my love is still life, so I guess maybe the seasons would be what's fun about the shore. I love getting up every morning and coming to my studio. I love doing what I do.
Lois's work can be seen at McBride Gallery in Annapolis, Stewart's Antique in Berlin, Bishop Stock in Snow Hill, and online at loisengberg.com. Thank you for watching this edition of Arts and Times. This Moonshell production was funded by the Worcester County Department of Tourism.